Welcome, everyone. This is Our Souls Speak. We're in constellation in divine space. We convene with our souls to listen, share, and explore. Our Souls Speak, a podcast where together with our guests, we embody the soulful principles of oneness and sourceness.
It contains the unique code of our being and the unique code of our destiny. And it is our sexual energy, which is our creative energy. That's our life force energy.
Your energy funds your power. It asks of you, contain me, cultivate me, use me with presence, wisdom, and right action. Every shining jewel of your life force. Precious.
There's certain parts of our bodies that as children are neutral. They're as neutral as your knee or as exciting as your knee. They're equivalent. To be told you could never touch your knee or that it's wrong to touch your knee.
The body can't lie. It is what it is in the moment that it is.
If we meet the yin with softness and subtlety and going slow and dropping in, then we can actually receive the enormity of that yin.
Without bringing this into these spaces and being honest about it, expressing and talking about it, it's just a huge denial of our nature and each other's natures.
This is the power that underlies everything, and this is actually why people don't like it, because it's overwhelming.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Our Souls Speak. I'd like to introduce you to today's guest, Daven Lee. Daven is a coach, teacher, and healing arts practitioner. Her work, The Power of the Yin, is the synthesis of Daven's unique vision of healing, health, and thriving together with a new paradigm of embodied leadership. She works one-on-one with couples and small groups, guiding sensitive and intuitive clients to trust the knowing of their bodies, the wisdom of their desires, and the power of their gifts. In addition to her passion for her work and her clients, Daven is learning intuitive animal communication, embracing a new identity as a poet, and has surprised herself by becoming a winter swimmer in the cold ponds of Hampstead Heath. Her topic today is the authenticity of the sexual soul. It's so wonderful to have you here, Daven. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So what do you mean by the sexual soul?
I first came to this idea through Taoism and Chinese medicine, which has a very core understanding of this energy that's called the Jing. And this is the energy that comes into being at the moment of our conception. So if you think about the sperm and the egg of our parents coming together, and that moment when we begin in this form and a soul comes in, I think of it like the big bang moment of our lives. And that comes from sexual energy. And that Jing is understood to be the energy that underlies everything that we do. It contains the unique code of our being and the unique code of our destiny. And it is our sexual energy, which is our creative energy. That's our life force energy. So it doesn't just have to do with sex and sexuality, but it has to do with everything, every way that we express ourselves. And this, to me, this is our sexual soul. Bringing that idea together with the idea of the soul makes so much sense to me. I feel it in my system. And so those words are a powerful way to convey the sense of that energy. And that energy as a aspect of our being and as a being in and of itself. So that's one way to understand it.
Okay. And so then there's the authenticity.
The authenticity of our sexual souls.
Relate?
So if this is our essential energy, our essence, there can be nothing more authentic than that. In so many ways that we struggle to know how to be in the world or wonder who we are or are in relationships or how we express ourselves. There's so much especially if you look at it through the lens of the sexual soul and sexuality, there's so much conditioning around how to be a sexual being that has manipulated, uncovered, distorted, or covered and distorted this essence of who we are. And so when we come in through the lens of the sexual soul and sexuality and when people begin to explore that aspect of themselves, they're touching their true authenticity. And that's a place that is so powerful, also simple. Once we find it, it's like, oh my gosh, I can actually rest here, but also incredibly vulnerable.
Right.
It takes courage to walk in our authenticity. But to me, that sexual soul takes us right there. You can't avoid it when you're in that realm.
How so?
Because we won't be well in our bodies. We won't be satisfied sexually. We won't be fully expressed, and we know it when we're not. So it's an incredible truth teller to be in our sexual energy. And in fact, people who come to me because of sex and sexuality or intimacy and relationships, that ends up being, it's a tip of the iceberg that actually takes you everywhere in somebody's life. But it's a place where the mismatch can become so obvious. The loss of sexual desire, or the feeling of, my partner wants this and I don't want this and I should be different and I'm trying to like this, but I'm not this way. Or I always want this, but there seems to be no place for that, so I can't be that. Those are all the whisperings of the Jing, that essence energy saying, be who you are authentically. Who are you really? Who are you really? And it is not about trying to adapt yourself to fit into something else, but it is about continually coming back to who am I really? So, when we talk about sexuality, desire, it is right there hand in hand, right? There's sexual desire. And then there's just desires. I love chocolate, not vanilla, whatever, very simple things. And there's so many ways that we deny our desires, sexually and otherwise. But the desires are these encoded clues to who we actually are. But again, if we ignore them, they become kind of distorted desires, and they can become dangerous desires or unhealthy desires or desires that just don't make us happy. And we don't understand, or we think desire is the bad thing. But in fact, it's like, let's peel away the layers to the source desire, because that can be fully trusted.
I know that you use embodiment
Yes.
techniques. And so how do you help people connect with you?
Yeah, it starts with the body.
Yeah.
It starts with the body. In the same way that the sexual soul is inherently authentic, the body doesn't lie, as you know, right? To slow people down, to begin to tune in, and to begin to actually notice sensation. And that's another reason why sexuality is such a place where you can't hide, because it involves the body. The body's right. It's about the experience of the body.
Right.
And so if the body isn't happy, that is that's a tell. It's a very clear tell. So to slow down and be with sensations. And from there, there may be stories that naturally arise from there. Or there may be not knowing that naturally arises from there. And to be able to just follow the sensation slowly and watch it shift. It's a very subtle thing that can happen in a space with a client. And then that moves in and out and takes us into different places where then there are other tools or things that come in that become helpful, like parts work or certain kinds of movement or hands-on work, because I'm a biodynamic craniosacral therapist.
Well, you were touching on the source's desire. And I think that's something that we all can join in about, connecting with what source desires.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So what I heard you say was connecting with source's desire. And I think that speaks to what we're here about in OurSoulsSpeak. So do you want to speak more about that as we let the others join?
This notion that we can trust our sexual energy is so counter to everything we've been taught or told. And so, and of course, when you said the word source this time, I also thought of the source. So we're interweaving that idea of there's our sense of our unique source that is arguably finite for this lifetime. And then there's that connection to the ultimate source. It is whispering to us through our desires all the time. It is leading us to what's true and authentic in every moment. And I know for myself, and you all can speak to this however you resonate or not, but I've now become so attuned and continue to become more attuned to how often I get those pings and how quickly they get squashed or redirected or resisted or ignored or not noticed altogether. And as I start unwinding that or creating more spaciousness around, wait a minute, I just had a moment of desire. Can I just notice that desire and see actually where it wants to lead me? Can I trust it? And then life becomes more pleasurable. And there you have the other principle of sexuality that we're all wanting, which is pleasure. And it's not just for the bedroom.
Yeah, and it's how do we discern what is soul and what soul is guided and what is not?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're hoping.
Yes, and just to actually, I help people with that, and it's really more of a helping people recognize and claim themselves truly.
Can you give us an example of that?
I asked them how they, at a certain point, I said, what are you noticing about your sexual soul? Which can be in the body, it can be an image, it can be a sense of something, it could be a memory of something. And this person saw their sexual soul as a smallish, very friendly dog who was in some kind of hamper or container, which to me was like, so your sexual soul's in a cage? Is that what you're saying? And they said, no, but it's in, it's just in a nice little container. And I said, oh, and I thought, that's not where sexual souls like to be. And as we continued to work together, I got this hit and I said, I think your sexual soul is a wolf, actually, because sexual souls want to be wild and not in the sense of, and this is another piece of my work, which is I'm talking about sexual energy that when we bring it front and center, we then cultivate it and we refine it. So it does not run us. So when we talk about wildness, it is not something that is out of control. And the image of the wolf was quite triggering for this person because they thought this meant they were a wolf in the negative sense, in the sense of being, exploitive and, on the hunt.
Wild.
Yeah. And I said, wolves have a very powerful allegiance to their pack, and they care for each other, which actually described a core quality of this person. And in that moment, that person claimed something about themselves that was quite beautiful. And while they didn't know, my sense was, well, we're still not quite sure what to do with this wolf and how this wolf can fully live. But to understand the contrast of the sexual soul that was a really nice, to me, lapdog, and this wild thing that was fierce and fiercely protective and fiercely relational and watched out for every member of its pack. It was a whole different understanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, Greg and I were talking this morning. He sent me something that was, it referenced the body keeps score. And it was saying beyond that, we're responding to everything. And what I took from it is our denial and negation of what's going on creates an effect. And the word that came to me was honesty or truth or trust within ourselves. And I could give numerous examples of where I thought I should be this way, and there's other things going on, and I don't really know what to do about reconciling the two. So I'll put that one in a box, or that thought isn't a good one, and that sort of the energy expended in trying to control our energy when it feels uncontrollable. And I loved what you said about, I guess this is my word, by bringing it into our awareness and working with it rather than denying, rejecting it, which then seems it has a power behind the scenes. And I really feel and see that power behind the scenes playing out. And then the last thing, I'm very curious about this, and I'm making this connection, is a lot of men around my sort of age have issues with prostate. It's almost universally accepted.
Right.
There'll be issues on the prostate. I understand in women it's another part of the body, but there's these, and my sense is that there's a connection there between blocking or negating or denying, and how identity is so, our sovereignty is so compelling to us to realize itself. It will keep sending signals to us and until we start to listen to those cues. So how do you reach people who are maybe a long way from that, in union with themselves, their own sovereignty, their own awareness?
My work is actually farther along. So the people who are that far, I mean, they might hear this podcast and go, oh, okay, that's starting to make sense. And maybe they're ready for this work. But I mean, there's so much happening in the sexuality space in all different ways. I mean, my work is very gentle, but still, it's such a working with sexuality in this way is so powerful that if people aren't quite ready for it, it feels quite confrontational. Because the truth is that they're going to have to tell the truth if they really step into this space. And, a lot of people do come in. I mean, I have many single people who come to my practice, but people who are already in relationships, there's that thing of, are you willing to challenge everything about this relationship? Are you willing to actually be your full self and take all the risks for that? What I really love and really opening to doing more is working with couples, because I think it's really, I've actually had clients who've had incredible transformation happen in their relationship with only the one person coming. But to be able to come together and kind of really hold the fragility and help people stay in the moment while they're actually witnessing each other in this is an incredibly powerful way to really change the paradigm of a relationship, and thereby change the paradigm of each person's relationship to their sexual soul and to their authenticity.
Well, I'm naming this to myself. I feel like there was a significant phase of my life where I felt consciously, unconsciously compelled by my sexual energy, but with no real control over it. I was self-managing, and then thinking I could transcend it, as in become spiritual. And so, okay, now it's not an issue because I'm denying it's actually present. And what I hope is happening, I mean, I have to ask people around me, is all of that, and realizing that's a dimension of who I am. It's a dimension of who everybody is. Yeah. And the incredible innate power that resides within that energy, as you started saying, it's the energy that brings life into the world. So, but I think the word, personally, you could talk about energy, but you choose to talk about sexual energy, and that word is so triggering in relation to what it makes us think or what we project. And there's lots of people, beings out in that space working and talking about it. But how do you find your own path? I mean, obviously come and see you, that'll help find our own path. But how do we find our own path around something that's so personal and intimate?
It's tricky because when we haven't been able to really sit with this energy in a safe way, it can be very hard to then discern what is a safe place to do this work. So it can take some searching, to find that. And maybe even you can speak to that a little bit, because I feel like you've had some experiences in different realms of this you may not want to share. But how have you discerned, or would you be willing to talk about that?
In its most elemental sense, it's been trial and test and experiment and fail and fall. And as I say, if there were 3 phases, it was probably coming into sort of the awareness that there was this energy, but oh my God, now what? And looking around like, what on earth do you do with this? And you look for guidance and there isn't any. And then there's awareness, wow, there is this energy here, and intend to want to do something positive with that. But what does positive mean? And feeling pretty confused for a lot of the time. But then I did some Taoism research, but I also came across quite a few practitioners who I felt that weren't necessarily coming from a pure intention. And I still really feel like that. And so my own feeling, I don't know everybody, but probably at least 3/4 of people I know have got some incident from their childhood. Maybe not at the extreme end, but where they have got a level of trauma associated. Even be able to talk about your parents about it. Yeah, it's a very sensitive, delicate, fragile aspect of us to bring. But and personally, I can talk about my experiences without bringing this into these spaces and being honest about it, expressing and talking about it. It's just a huge denial of our nature and each other's natures.
And it will go underground and cause trouble there, or heartache, or in my work, knowing the pain and the trauma that are there, and knowing the responsibility that I have to hold the space for that and to invite the sexual soul to come out. Being so, I have a lot of knowledge and experience around, working with trauma and what those sort of signals are and how to pause in those places and really check in for. So to me, my work is co-created. I am bringing somebody in who is already a fully expressed sexual soul. Their healed sexuality is already in the field. And that is what we're going to connect with. We're going to we're going to go from this moment and we're going to cast a line from here to that healed sexuality and ask that healed sexuality to be the guide, to draw that person forward. And there is a lot of, I'll say it again, slowing down, pausing, checking in, what's happening, coming out and feeling resourced again. So there's this beautiful understanding in various somatic therapeutic practices called pendulation, where you touch into the trauma, but then you pause and you come back to a place where, whether it's present time or where the person feels fully resourced, they can be present, they kind of remember themselves, they come back to the strong part that they feel comfortable in. And then we touch back in. Then from that place, it's like, okay, let's just maybe touch back into that, or what's happening over here now. And as you move back and forth, these two things begin to change. They begin to harmonize with each other. You begin to move towards the healing without having to just dig into the trauma and tell all the stories. So that's another way that I really hold the space for this very powerful and this energy that has been harmed, that can be very harmed. But the teacher that I studied with, who awakened something in me, which was not only, I say that it sounds like, awakened my sexual energy. What awakened in me is the recognition, thank you, that this energy is not just an immature, let's go get laid, I really, I've got this energy, it's got to be released. It's like, oh my gosh, this is our life force. It's actually this important. It's not frivolous. Our culture has told us a lie about how frivolous or unimportant this energy is, that it's not a priority. And to learn that there are, all wisdom traditions actually have practices for sexual energy and sexual cultivation because it is that essential. So that teacher awakened that understanding in me. And I worked with that teacher for several years. And then as I came into my own and really could feel my own understanding growing in my own practice, there started to be a misalignment between how that person was holding the space and how I felt the space should be held. So I say that because when somebody's looking for a teacher or a therapist or somebody to hold that space, it's like find the gold that you need there, but also trust when something is misaligned. This is where sovereignty comes in. Oh, this feels misaligned. And it's tricky because when you're in a situation where you do need help, you are asking somebody to see something that you can't see yourself, right? To call you out to an edge. And when it's a sexual edge, it can become transgressive very quickly. Anyway, that's a big topic. I say, get the gold from here. And when something feels off, it's like, okay, that's off. I got the gold. Now let's see what else I can find to just keep building.
Well, what I'm feeling, and I'd love everyone's perspective, like I'm feeling a charge here now in relation to talking about this, being with this, listening to you.
There's obviously a lot of guilt and shame built around sex.
Yeah.
I think from children, when we're if you're going to masturbate and you're a child, don't do that. Those things, and it's curiosity at a child level.
Yeah.
And then we suppress that. And then I guess in our teens, we kind of get out and we have hormones raging and so on. It's a creative energy. It's the base, and it's the survival. Is that right? Is that
the sexual energy?
Yeah.
Say more about what you mean by survival.
Well, I guess as a species, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't exist.
It's so we can reproduce.
So yeah, absolutely. So it's almost the core foundation to on a biological level.
Life itself.
To life itself, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then we move, I guess, if you look at the chakras, then we would move up the levels. So people would say, oh, sex then becomes not important. But I think you're begging to differ.
I beg to differ.
That's what I'm getting. Yeah. That's what I'm getting from this conversation.
Yeah. It's
Can you
really
tell me
about,
a bit more about that?
Well, what I would say, it's so funny. I'm not a big chakra person, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't been my area of focus. But what I understand from what you just said is it's not that we move up the chakras, it's that we integrate with each chakra. We integrate that energy with each chakra.
Right.
However that is expressed, and that's up to you. Some people, their path is through sex itself. Some people may say, actually, I'm ready. That's not where I need to express it now or from now on, or this is the period that I'm in my life, or so there is no hard and fast rule about this. And the other thing I want to say when you're talking about children and that innocence is it's also, again, it's about the body. So to me, the sexual soul came here to be in your body. And as a child, it's like, this is yours. What does this do? What does this do? What is this? And the idea of somebody coming and severing that connection, it's a little devastating. We're devastated by that. That there's certain parts of our bodies that as children are neutral. They're as neutral as your knee or as exciting as your knee. They're equivalent. To be told you could never touch your knee or that it's wrong to touch your knee. Whoa. Not to mention...
It doesn't make any sense.
It does. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense to a soul.
Yeah, I got a memory of His Dark Materials.
That's what I was
and
thinking of.
And the demon as...
The severing from the demon.
And the what are they called? The church order. No, I don't, in the book.
Yeah.
Not saying anything, make any comment on that. Was they were experimenting with the severing the child from the demon and what that does to the child. That's written by what's he called?
Philip Pullman.
Philip Pullman, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and what that reunion must be like.
And what would it be like so in that book that you're describing, for people who haven't read it, which I really recommend this series, it's incredible. There's literally an animal being that is the child's kind of soul expression. And they have this intimate relationship with this other that is also them. And so if we understand our sexual energy that way and actually build a relationship with this being that is accompanying us throughout our lives, that was with us in the crib when we had our diapers changed and immediately put our hands there, and all of that it's like from that moment forward would be a different experience.
So So you've mentioned animals several times in your
Oh,
stories here, and I just have to get to your excitement about learning about
animal communication.
If
Oh,
this
that's
feels
a
like the right
big
time.
change of subject. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. This is completely nascent. Like, it is totally
No,
like, what I'm loving about it is, it's just, I mean, to me, the animal communication is a thing of like, oh, it's time to just say yes to all the things that I actually can have access to. And I'm beginning with this piece, which I have held in a kind of mysterious esteem, the people who are able to do this. And it's like, actually, if I can believe I can do it, it can be done, because this is all available to all of us. And then I have somebody who's lovely, who's working with me, who's starting to teach me how to do it. And what I'm finding, it's really just a way of cultivating my intuitive knowing and realizing that I've actually been doing this all along, but I didn't see it as that. And so that's actually allowing that intuition to grow and realize I'm getting messages about things all the time in a way that I'm now understanding at another level of deliberateness and clarity, which is really exciting. And I just want to take the lid off what's possible to know and be aware of. And the animals are beautiful. I mean, I don't know if there's a specific thing. I mean, yes, I could talk about that for a little while, but
well, I don't want to get us off track about what we're
yeah.
talking about, but it's such a love of mine, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, well, there's much to say about it, but yeah.
And maybe we can invite you back and have a whole hour on that.
Yeah,
And that's a brilliant topic.
Yeah.
I think we should do that. Okay.
I've been sitting here totally intrigued by these cards. I'm hoping you're going to
Yes.
share something with us about your cards.
So what we haven't really talked about is that my work with the sexual soul exists under my larger work, which is called The Power of the Yin, which for me, in my own journey, I thought the way to be in the world is to be as yang as possible, to push, to have, to strive, to have things to show for myself, to be able to compete and be successful in some way, to be hardened and strong in a way that hides vulnerability and not knowing and fear. And my sexual awakening led me into a Qigong practice, which taught me and opened up the felt sense understanding of the yin and the power of the yin, which in my mind previously had been something that was less than, that was something to be almost ashamed of. It's like, don't bring that here. Yeah. And realizing like, oh my God, this is the power that underlies everything. And this is actually why people don't like it, because it's overwhelming. But if in a yin-like way, in the fashion of the yin, if we meet the yin with softness and subtlety and going slow and dropping in, then we can actually receive the enormity of that yin. So I've built a whole practice around helping people connect with that part of themselves, which, again, not unlike the sexual soul. I mean, it all interweaves. The sexual soul is part of that. People feel a part of them is missing, or they know they have a power that they want to connect with, but they don't know how, or they are afraid of it. So out of this work came this oracle deck of 58 cards called the Power of the Yin Oracle Deck. And these are cards, they have sets like embodiment, guidance. There's a set that's true yang, because you can't have the yin without the yang. There are the guardians of your yin power. There are the realms of the yin, and there are the absolutes. And I worked with an incredible illustrator, Yael Bernhard, who created the images. And then I wrote the text on the back, which is poetry, as it turns out. And that's what this deck is. And we could take a few moments and pull cards.
No.
Yeah.
Greg, you're ready to go. That
Let's
arm
do
is
that.
coming out. And I just want to say that, with the illustration on one side and the text on the other, they may feel connected, or they may feel like two very different messages. I don't feel like they should be connected in some way.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, one's got a connection that's related but distinct.
Would you like to share
I
your
really
card?
wanna
You're
read
ready to
it.
go. Do you want to
So-
show the image? Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the image. I looked at the image afterwards. What I really felt, and this is what I feel now, is this care and cultivation and love.
Mm.
But it's like I hold Sophia.
But it's like a what?
It's like how I hold Sophia. It's strong and definite. And it's all protective at the same time. There's a complete safety within that. And it was your energy. Full like a well that gives water for 2,000 years. Nimble like a mountain goat, scaling impossible cliffs. One of my favorite words. Electric like a lightning strike, rocket fuel when the moment is ripe. Returning to source like a mother turtle. Lay your eggs deep in the moist sand. Your energy funds your power. It asks of you, contain me, cultivate me, use me with presence, wisdom, and right action. Every shining jewel of your life force, precious.
Spot on.
I know, the precision. Wow, the precision.
Do you want to share yours?
Sure.
You had such a great response.
Well, I love the changing, because I'm so connected to trees, number one, but it also doesn't. Yeah, the rootedness, it's speaking lots to me about, but it's about non-negotiables. So it's grounded in roots and branches reaching, and then there's this kind of folded arms. This is where you draw the line. This is where you do not flex or bend, twist or splinter. This is the branch that is connected right toward you, shall not be pruned. This is the source of your sacred knowledge. And what's coming to me was I just finished writing a book that I'm editing at this point, and it starts off with this first wound that I can remember, where before I had words, so I couldn't say no. It's sexual. So
this is going right to the core.
yeah, it's feeling very. I can say it.
Wow.
No, that's beautiful.
That's awesome. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for sharing, Greg.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, won't surprise any of you, since the divine wills. Mine's about abundance. Now, before you read the back, you said this morning. Did you not?
Yes.
Yes, you did. So the picture is which is long past what I can relate to.
Yeah.
Right.
But as a mom, I was a mom. But now the book that I'm writing, the book that I'm preparing at the moment, that's being channeled, I'm in the channel, is called Nurturing. And if that picture doesn't convey nurturing, I don't know what does. So, when I looked at the picture, what I immediately felt was the nurturing was humanity. It's earth. That's source. It's the trinity of those three things that is nurturing, which is the message of the book.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that until I looked at that. I had a bit of an idea. But that consolidated.
Wow.
The picture consolidated. So abundance is the word on the back, and this is the poem. Sometimes it's hard to believe. We live in a universe of abundance. Rustles the oak tree, laden with 10,000 acorns, each carrying a forest within. Abundance echoes the rain, filling the ocean with innumerable drops. Abundance sparkle the stars glowing from light years away. Abundance beats your heart, astonishing you with its return to love again and again. So thank you very much. Thank you, Source. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody that's here.
Mine is desire. So this is, yeah.
We haven't just been talking about that.
Yeah, we were just talking
I
about
think
it.
we have been talking about that. Desire.
Love, experience, express. Swollen, dripping, open, empty. Fill me, feed me, nourish me. Beauty of life bursting. I want to taste every flavor. The nudge, the hunger, the longing. Your essence bringing you alive.
Well, I want to find out, Dilraj, how is that card for you?
I'm at a crossroad in terms of my career. Be guided to, be inspired to go in a certain direction, whichever direction. There's no right or wrong. And what is my highest desire? What brings me the greatest joy?
Mm-hmm.
And what is aligned mostly with what I'm trying to get out of my own personality from the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, no right or wrong, no judgment, but it hasn't led me to where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this is very significant for me, this card.
Beautiful.
Does it help?
Absolutely.
Does it help you appreciate what desires are?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Does that help me appreciate what desires are? Yeah, it does.
Just I feel like I'm in a bridge here. But what came was Matryoshka dolls.
Oh, the Russian
The
dolls.
Oh, yeah,
Russian
yeah.
dolls. And
The embedded.
simplistically,
Mm-hmm.
inside. Now, what I feel is, so I'm going to take one desire expressed, the desire for closeness, desire for intimacy, desire for union. What I can relate to in myself is, or what I feel is that desire that was innocent, is always innocent, will always be innocent. And then as the physical body comes into, all the lights come on, and then school, boys, friends, picking up signals of what to do, what to not do, it gets completely convoluted, confused and distorted. We're still innocent. And my feeling is the desire is the same, to know oneself, to know all selves, to know one.
To know one. And potentially all forms through our experience of realizing yourself as a body, realizing yourself, realizing realizing ourselves as a tree, or an animal, or a planet,
and that journey aligning with Source's purpose in us expressing, and it never ending. Like, where does unconditional love finish? Where does connection finish? Where does
it doesn't, does it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my cosmology. My truth now is there's no end to anything.
And that's where the relief comes in. You know, it's kind of like, I feel like, I don't talk too much, but I feel like the sexual energy kind of with lack of consciousness is like a force driving you forward. And you see that force out in the world, affecting all kinds of things, tsunamis, tornadoes, knocking things out. Thinking that you're getting yourself out of the water and sitting on the side, watching it bypass is how we become frigid, cold, disconnected, bitter, you know. So the answer is to be in the expression of it, aware of the expression of it, and having guidance and having support and tuning in, and the body being the tool through which, and all the bodies being the tool through which we can. And what I've found is, rather than, so I still do feel extremely intense desire of all kinds. What's different is I'm aware of that as best I can, knowing that desire has an intention to serve unconditional love, to serve, not just serve myself in the pleasure that stays within me, but serves in express that energy out. And I'd say there's another type of pleasure, which is, and I don't use it, it's the joy that comes with feeling it, allowing it to move, playing with it, and then allowing it because it expands out of beyond us and through our intention. Yeah.
I call it bliss.
Yeah, it's a bliss. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. No, it's okay.
and I speak for myself. So I used to believe that bliss state was only available through one specific
action.
Like, you don't need to draw pictures, but
Yeah.
So,
Please though.
but it feels like the whole of life is configured to try and meet that feeling of bliss. When you said, and it's true, is there's infinite sources of bliss because there's infinite experiences to have through our entire being that includes sexual union, includes whatever you call, different practices, but it doesn't exclude anything. It doesn't include anything else. It includes everything else.
See, you sent me a picture of your tree and the bliss that comes through that. Not just the tree energy, the energy of the tree, but the bliss of you seeing that tree.
Exactly.
That's it's just as real as anything else. And it's it's infinitely available.
Infinitely available.
Isn't it?
To all of
It feels to me that it is infinitely available. I mean, look out on my garden. Regularly sit there looking at my garden and going, it's a flower. It's a tulip.
And does that, and there's pleasure there.
Oh, massive bliss. Massive bliss. Massive pleasure. I mean, it's really walking around the entire garden. It's one non-stop pleasure thing. Pleasure paths.
I'm in hysterics. I really love animals. I'm not vegetarian, so I don't love animals to probably the full extent. I adore our cat. But with Greg, everywhere we walk, every single dog appears for miles around. And he doesn't do the, oh, hi, pet, walk on. We're there.
This is where the animal community is.
His interaction with animals is, and so like Lorna was saying with me in the tree, and I'm there, laughing about going, he's over. I'm enjoying that feeling of that connection and
pleasure of it.
The pleasure of it.
Yes. The bliss of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of words. I mean, it's like we were maybe saying earlier, the words sometimes aren't necessary, but it's that feeling and experience and sense and knowing, even the hearing of it. We can do all those things.
And the rest of life, well, I found through working is the rest of life calms down. Well, the drama.
The rest of life was always calm.
Yeah, that's right. The rest of life, we realized there were calmness of it.
Right.
And then we can access all the things like, we want to access from a place of, I'm good. I'm coming to this meeting. I'm good. This person, I'm good. Because the body can't lie. It is what it is in the moment that it is.
I believe though the body changes as you progress along the path or whatever you want to call it. The body actually changes in composition quite a lot, I think. At least that's what I'm feeling and learning at the moment. So what serves the body? What the body is able to perceive, sense, see, hear, know.
Yeah.
Hear. Wow, that's off the chart. Different, isn't it? No, it changes dramatically. So I was sitting there yesterday morning, I'm hearing buzzing like wasps. Right? I thought, must be a wasp's nest somewhere near here. There's no wasp. It was outside, but it was so clear. So the body's ability to sensorily receive the information that's all around it, I think, changes dramatically.
Yeah.
Every time we have an upgrade. We've used that word a few times, didn't we? Yeah. That's me. Thank you for those cards.
You're
really,
welcome.
Really beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
It feels like there's so much more here.
Yeah, there's like so. Just open.
Yeah, we've. We're seeing more. And for now, what's most present for you here with now?
Just when we just name the sexual soul in the space, it opens something up.
Oh yeah.
And it opens up conversations and sensing and awarenesses that are really important to tune into, and that connect us with our vitality, and it does connect us with our truth. And so to keep the sexual soul in our consciousness, and to keep in relationship with that and how it wants to express itself, keeps us open to life and the pleasure of life and all the layers and that doll that you described. So, yeah, that's what I'm feeling in this moment. Just what a beautiful conversation has sprouted from this.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough for attending this time.
Oh, thank you. This was beautiful to be part of.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I feel like there's a whole field of sprouts. Not Brussels sprouts.
That's what sexual energy does.
Well,
It wants to create lots of babies.
Well,
It's very generative.
So when we met Daven, it was a Bodhi's thing. It was London, thousands of people. Sophia's, bloody. Shelley's going, where's my wine? It's one of those, I was sort of half delayed, thinking, how am I going to get to the car? And then there you are bouncing around. I remember coming up to you, we hadn't met, and I'm naming it, but I didn't have any words. But I was like, whatever that is, I don't refer to you as a all that is present within this person who's looking straight at back, like the aliveness of you, the aliveness coming through you. And I think we said some words out loud.
There was a lot of unspoken things happening.
We're just grinning like two kids, just smiling at something, going, wow, like, and that then, we'd gone off in the rest of the party and everything like that, I was like, oh yeah, I need to go and see that person to find out what was going on. And that liveness that's available to all of us, but that liveness you embody all of the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautifully expressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and it gets better and better. There's even more aliveness in all of us. There's more. There's more.
There's abundance.
There's abundance.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
It is one of your inbuilt essence. Defend and uphold it with your life. Celebrate, love, and revere it. This issue.
Think about how to. So I had a client who.
To receive more information about our guests and future events, please visit our website at sourceness.one. We are one.